Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of This Week in the XFL. I'm your host, as always, the referee representing XFL Newsroom, the number one source, in XFL news. And we have a big week, and quite honestly, we've had a huge month of XFL news between the draft and the ticket sales, and really some of the things we're going to be talking about later in this episode. But before we get started, we wanted to remind everybody that we have another giveaway going on. So, what are you going to get? Well, you have the opportunity to win 2 tickets to any game this season. All you need to do is like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed and you like and comment on any other video, well, guess what? That counts as another entry. So there's also one other thing that you'll need to do, something a little bit different from the last giveaway. You'll also need to click the link down in the description for the Discord and get to a backup status. Now, last week we spoke about you needing to get to a starting status, and I was incorrect on that. The good news is the backup status is a little bit easier to get to, but you'll still need to participate in that chat. We don't know when we're giving them away yet, but it's going to be closer to the season. So sign you up and good luck. And one other thing before we get started, we have an exclusive interview with Seattle Dragons Tier 1 quarterback, Brandon Silvers, and we want to know, what would you like to know? Let us know in the comments below if you have any questions for the man himself. And hey, we're probably going to put a thread over at reddit.com/r/XFL football so you can get in on that as well. It's probably going to be aired on this episode next week, maybe the week after. We're still working on some timing there, but that's some exciting stuff. So on to the news, the big stuff of the week. So we know the ticket sales, we know the team schedules, but we have a few stories to talk about before we get there. So this one to me is still a huge story. Last week we talked about the people that would be manning the booth for the XFL, both for Fox and ESPN. And the good news is Fox has officially announced that those names are correct. So Kurt Menefee and Joe Klatt are going to be manning the booth for the Fox NFL games. So again, those are really the Tier 1 commentators, but there's also some other roles to fill. So it sounds like Fox is reportedly pursuing Carolina Panthers tight end Greg Olsen for an analyst role, at least for some of the XFL games coming this season. Now, it may seem a little strange because he is still an active player for the Panthers, right? But funny enough, he did serve as an analyst role last Sunday during Fox's broadcast of the Cardinals game. So it's something that he's done before. It looks like he's maybe trying to make that transition. I don't know if he's going to retire at the end of this season, but he's definitely getting prepared for when it does happen. Now, this doesn't take place during the NFL season, so it's possible that he stays with the Panthers and still serves in an analyst role for this league. Again, we saw him do it this past Sunday. We don't know any of the facts, but we do know that it's something we heard. This is reported by the New York Post, so I would say that's a pretty legitimate source right there, but we'll keep you posted as we learn more. Speaking of broadcasts, not necessarily the XFL, but this past Monday on Raw, we saw the DC Defenders Tier 1 quarterback, Cardale Jones, in the house for Monday Night Raw. Now, there was some fans online that were, half surprised and some maybe a little bit upset. Ever since the league was announced, people had thought that the WWE and the XFL were going to keep their distance, and to a certain extent they have. Now, we have heard reports in the past that the WWE had been airing ads for the XFL, at least in some of the franchise markets, while they were in town. And again, there was mixed reactions to that. Now, when I look at this specific situation, it doesn't bother me. And there's a couple reasons why. One, Raw this past Monday was in Cleveland. Cardale Jones, he used to be the quarterback of Ohio State, so he's somewhat of a local celebrity. 2, Raw also had members of the Cleveland Browns in attendance. They mentioned them on air. And 3, we didn't see him get in on the action. We just saw him on the side in the crowd. But it was cool. We saw him bring his name up. We saw the XFL logo on television. So again, am I mad about it? No. Will I be mad if we start seeing wrestlers go into the booth and things like that, or some of the more outlandish things we saw from the original XFL? Yeah, maybe. But this wasn't very bad to me, at least in my opinion. But let us know your thoughts. Let us know down in the comments below. So we've seen the Spring League. We've had the showcase. We had the draft. We know the team names and logos, but there's still something that the fans have been waiting for and quite honestly asking for on a daily basis, and that is team uniforms, and really more specifically, team jerseys, right? People want to buy those jerseys on the XFL shop to represent their team, or hey, even might buy multiple jerseys to represent the whole league. Well, we might have some information on when those jerseys are coming, not a specific date, but at least a timeline. So according to the official Twitter account of the St. Louis Battlehawks, it sounds like the jerseys are coming in November. So this all stems from somebody had tweeted the Battlehawks saying they were happy to be a Battlehawks fan, hashtag cleared to engage, and they wanted to know when the jerseys are coming. And basically they replied, hey, glad to have you around. Jerseys should be coming in November. And you know what? That makes me happy because that's right around the corner. We only have about a week left in October, and then we're in that November time frame. We don't know if it's at the beginning, middle, or end, but it's coming soon, it sounds like. Now, interestingly enough, the Battlehawks have deleted that reply. So I don't know if the timeline is incorrect. So don't be mad at me if it doesn't happen. We're just reporting what we see, but we would love to see it. Still a couple things in the pipeline though. We still have the official rule book, which I'm excited to see. We've had a good idea of the rules they're testing, but it'll be nice to see that they're official. And then we have some team practices. We have the supplementary draft coming in November, as well as possibly one in January. And then February 8th, 2020, we're kicking off. And we're going to talk about those team schedules here shortly. So that's jerseys. We talked about Greg Olsen. We talked about Cardale Jones. So the big news of the week is we have the ticket sales and the team schedules, and we're going to start with the ticket sales. So Tuesday, the XFL held an early access sale for people that were part of the XFL's email list to participate to buy tickets to those games. So these are single game tickets. Now we've seen season tickets have been available for a while now, at least a couple weeks. Now the single game tickets are available, and it also gives us a better idea of how the ticket sales are going. And you know, I'm happy to report it seems like things are going very well. So again, Thursday, public access to single game tickets. You're able to look at the maps, the seating charts, seeing what seats are available. Now there's a couple things to keep in mind. Initially, the league is only selling lower bowl to a majority of these stadiums, but as they start selling out, they'll start opening those other sections, or at least we assume they will, right? We've heard that they will, at least in certain instances. I don't know if it'll be the same across the league. But when you look at the tickets, at least the tickets that are available, it seems like all of the stadiums are roughly about 75% sold out, right? Now, a majority of that, I would guess, is from season ticket holders. I hope it's not scalpers. We have seen a couple teams. I think I saw a few in LA where you could buy aftermarket tickets, and there was quite an increase, you know, a little bit of a price hike there. Basically going from $20 to $120. But there are still tickets available, so don't buy aftermarket tickets right now. Only buy them if you absolutely need to during the season. We need to support the league. But it's great to see that the ticket sales are going well. You know, when you look back to the AAF, that was one of the problems they ran into. That's one of the things they depended on to pay the payroll and other things like that. And it seems like, again, the XFL is not having that same problem. When you looked at some of the games in the Alliance, specifically, we'll say Salt Lake City, very cold in February. Now, they said there was about 10,000 people there, but it didn't look like that on TV, but I'm not going to call them a liar. But I don't expect the XFL is going to have that problem. The only thing that worries me is the one we spoke about is scalpers. If a majority of these are purchased by scalpers, that's going to be bad news because legitimate fans are missing out on an opportunity to see these games, which will ultimately lead to empty seats. And the other one that worries me a little bit is if season ticket holders don't stick around for the full season. Maybe they get bored after a couple weeks, but hopefully we won't have to worry about that. We've seen the people that are going to be on these teams, and these teams have some high caliber, high quality players that we're going to see on the field. So it's great to see the league doing so well, but since we're talking about ticket sales, I think it's wise to mention we've seen the first sales event by any of the franchises in the league. So the Houston Roughnecks have announced their first annual Select a Seat event, and that's going to take place November 2nd at TDECU from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you know, I would go, but I already have my seats. I would say it is interesting. It would be fun to go get in my seat and see what the field is going to look like, but basically that's what this event is for. If you don't have your seats yet, this gives you an opportunity to, one, check out our beautiful stadium, and two, scout the seats and see what view you want to see, and quite honestly, maybe buy some tickets while you're there. And there is some other activities going on, right? So beyond selecting your seats and possibly buying your seats, you'll be able to meet the team president, Brian Michael Cooper, and you have the opportunity to win some season tickets of your own. So if you can kick a 39-yard field goal, you will be the proud owner of some Roughnecks season tickets. Hashtag rough 'em up. Like I said, we're going to be at the event, section 190 represent. We're going to be having a good time. Hopefully make it the most live section in the stadium. And if you're in another stadium section, I'm sorry, but that's just how it's going to go down. But hey, beyond meeting the president, beyond having the opportunity to win some season tickets, you'll have a private tour of the stadium as well. So you'll get the seats, you'll go check out the club area, maybe some other sections, just to see what you're investing in. Like I said, I've been to TDECU a few times now, and it's a beautiful stadium. I think it's going to be great for the league, great for the XFL, great for the Houston Roughnecks, and I'm ready to go tailgate every time I have an opportunity to. And hey, since the single game tickets went on sale, I've already purchased my tickets to head up to Dallas when they take on Houston. So I'm excited to tailgate there as well and check out the renovated Globe Life Park. So hey, now we talked about the ticket sales. We talked about the other news. This is the big news of the week. The team schedules are live. Now I'm not going to go into all the details, because Jay Dash from the XF podcast and I actually did a live stream on Tuesday detailing our initial thoughts. We ran through the whole schedule, but there are some interesting things. So a couple things I do want to talk about. So we're going to talk about at least the opening week here. And so the first game of the XFL, the first televised game and the first game you'll be able to see in person, is going to be the Seattle Dragons visiting DC to take on the Defenders. That's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be sold out. I think it's going to be loud. It makes sense. The Audi Field is one of the smaller stadiums in the league, so it's going to be easier to fill up. And the one I'm really excited about, again for my own selfish reasons, is the second game of the day. That's Los Angeles in Houston. So good news is Jay Dash, and they're going to be doing a live episode of the XF podcast from Audi Field, and we'll be doing a live episode of whatever we're going to call it from the Houston TDECU Stadium. So wherever you're at least that first day, we're going to have you covered. If you're at the event, come and tailgate with us. If you're not, come and check out our pre-streams live on YouTube. Either way, it's going to be a good time. Looking on to the next day, we have the Vipers in New York, right? But the big one, and I think the one that surprised a lot of people, is the St. Louis Battlehawks in Dallas taking on the Renegades. And there's a couple reasons why. Is one, we didn't know if Globe Life was going to be completed by then. From the initial plans, it sounded like they might miss that first week. So it looks like by February 9th, Globe Life's going to be ready to go. They're going to be hosting games. And I think there's another surprising aspect to that matchup is I think a lot of people expected to see St. Louis at home that first week of the season. Funny enough, they're away the first 2 weeks of the season, right? Now, the reason I say they expected them to is there's a couple, right? Is one, the weather. St. Louis is in a dome, so they don't need to worry about the cold weather, rain, snow, any of those things. And two, People have been dying to get their football back in St. Louis, so unfortunately, it looks like you're going to have to wait till week 3. But luckily, like we mentioned before, all of these games are easy to find. These are not like the AAF, right? They started off strong. They were on CBS, but then they moved to the NFL Network, the Bleacher Report app, other things that weren't necessarily easy to find. I noticed that a lot of people were hosting AAF streams on YouTube. Now, I don't know how many people watched them, but I bet you there was a big chunk of fans that were watching those streams. Now, regardless of what television channels we're on, I fully expect that the XFL is not going to be allowing people to stream their games on YouTube. Granted, we know they have some good expertise in this with the WWE, so I think this is where they're going to flex that expertise to make sure to capitalize on getting people to watch it through the correct avenues. And the good news is that they're not hard to find. A lot of these games are on free over-the-air broadcast TV. You won't even need cable television. And even the cable channels, I believe, all of these fall under basic cable. So I did want to run down which teams are on which channels, who has the most broadcast television access, who has the worst. So starting with DC, we have 5 games on ABC, but none on Fox, which I thought was a little interesting. The rest of these teams have a pretty even split between the two, but we have all ABC, no on Fox, 1 on ESPN2, and 4 on Fox Sports 1, which again, still a great lineup. Just interesting that only on ABC, none on Fox. Moving to Dallas, 2 on ABC, 4 on Fox, 1 on ESPN, 3 on Fox Sports 1. Houston, 5 on ABC, 2 on Fox, 3 on Fox Sports 1. Moving to LA, 3 ABC, 3 Fox, 2 ESPN, and 2 on Fox Sports 1. On to New York, so they have a lot of broadcast games here. 5 on ABC, 3 on Fox, 1 on ESPN, and 1 on Fox Sports 1. Moving to St. Louis, only 1 on ABC, 3 on Fox, 3 ESPN, 2 Fox Sports 1, and 1 of 2 teams to be aired on Fox Sports 2. Seattle, 4 on ABC, 3 on Fox, 1 on ESPN, 2 on Fox Sports 1, and ending off with the Vipers in Tampa Bay, 3 on ABC, 2 on Fox, 2 on ESPN, 1 on ESPN2, and the other team to be on Fox Sports 2. And again, Fox Sports 2, if that's the worst channel in this list, that's a pretty good list because, again, Fox Sports 2, I believe, is covered under basic cable. These are going to be easy to find games. A couple other interesting things about the schedule. So the last 2 weeks of the season is when we see the Thursday night games. And so, interestingly enough, Dallas is in both of them. They're both on Fox, 8 p.m. on broadcast television, prime time. Getting signed up. And I'm happy because the first one takes place here in Houston. So Dallas at Houston. I'll be there. I'm ready to go. And then the second one is LA and Dallas. So Dallas is getting that spotlight Thursday night, prime time, and really so is the league. Now we're going to look at the playoffs, right? There's a little bit of a difference from the original XFL to this iteration here. So in the original league, you had the best in the East versus the best in the West, the second in the East versus the second in the West, and whoever wins the games goes on to the championship. So you could have a championship with both teams from the East or both teams in the West. With the new XFL, that's not the case. We have East versus East, West versus West. Whoever wins goes to the championship. It's going to be an East versus West championship. The location is still to be determined, but Oliver Luck mentioned during the draft that they're going to be mentioning the location soon. Now that leads me to believe that it's going to be a neutral location and not the location of the team with the best record. Now, if I were to guess, of all the places that the league is going to go for their championship game, I would have to say it's probably going to be Las Vegas at Sam Boyd, where interestingly enough, the Las Vegas Outlaws of the original XFL played. Now, there's a couple things that go into this. Well, one, we just talked about it. The league has been there. There's probably still fans from the old league. They had a pretty good turnout. But there's also a huge event taking place in Vegas that weekend. And if you don't know what it is, it's a little thing called the NFL Draft. and their coverage ends the day before the XFL Championship. Now, if I were the people in the league and I was scouting locations of where to hold our championship, well, it seems like a great place to go because you know you have thousands of people that you know love football in one location all at the same time. And if the tickets are similar to what we're seeing throughout the season, even if they're a little bit higher, people are going to come out of curiosity. And that's not counting the people like me that plan on traveling out to that championship game. So again, trying to sell out your championship game, it's something that we see a lot of other companies do to the WWE, funny enough, with WrestleMania, when you have people like Ring of Honor and Impact and other various companies traveling to the WrestleMania site to get those built-in fan bases. I don't hold it against the XFL. I think it's smart, and quite possibly it could be another reason of scouting places to expand to. I don't expect expansion anytime soon, but you get to that 3rd to 5th season, maybe you roll out 2 more teams. Depending on how things go at the championship, maybe one of them's in Vegas. But hey, only time will tell. I'm sure we'll know soon. Like I mentioned, that was really the big news. We have some huge news this week. We talked about the championship. We talked about the team schedules and the ticket sales. We talked about some more possible personalities. Hey, I'm living the dream here. We're heading into November. Hopefully those jerseys are coming soon. But hey, before we let you go, if you didn't know, we're also on Facebook and Twitter at XFL Newsroom. So head over there, give us a follow, and sign you up. And since we're on YouTube, make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to see when we're dropping new videos. Some are going to be live and some are going to be pre-recorded, just like this one. So until next time, sign you up.